Hello everyone, I'm Kay here on my homestead in Tennessee. Welcome back to my kitchen. Last night I steam juiced 11 quarts of tomatoes. Now I had a lot of tomatoes going bad on the counter and on my table, and I said I have to do something very quickly. I don't have time to parboil the tomatoes and take all the skins off, because you've got to wait to handle them, they're so hot, and I just wanted to get it done. So I very quickly put probably 20 pounds of tomatoes, I don't know, I didn't measure, but in the top of my juice steamer, and I wound up with 11 quarts. If you considered using a juice steamer and you don't know anything about it, or you bought one, you haven't used it because you're afraid of it, hey, I'm there. I can relate. But I jumped in last year and tried it on muscadine grapes, and then I tried it on tomatoes last year. So I was more willing last night to just jump in and do a lot of tomatoes and get a lot of those tomatoes cleared off, which I did. So the tomato juice winds up being kind of see-through. I'll just tell you, it's not like opening a jar of V8 or something if you want to drink it. And of course, if it's possible, you're always going to do better with a juicer, juicing the tomatoes and putting that juice in the freezer. That's the most delicious and the most like fresh tomatoes. This is canned, so it's not as good, but it's still great to have this in your cabinet, in your preps, whatever, to have something to drink besides water. And these are tomatoes that I grew, so I know exactly what is in this jar. So today, when I was at the store and I bought some organic grapes with the intention of juicing them, I thought I should take you through it so I can show you a couple of things to keep you from making a really big mistake like I did. And we'll just go through it with the grapes, okay? So I'm going to clear off the tomatoes. And I've got my canner here because you're going to want to have your canner, your deep water canner, ready so that you can can your juice. So I've got that ready, and I'm going to put my juicer here and I'll show you the parts and we'll get started. I'll wash the grapes, do all of that, and we'll be back in a minute. If you have whole house water filtration, this would only take so little time. You could have a running water through your tap, but I don't want tap water. I don't want the chlorine going on my food that I'm going to preserve, go to the trouble to preserve, so I have to run this through my water filter, and this takes time. And if you're wondering why I bought grapes when I have 9 grapevines, is I've had trouble growing grapes here. Evidently I didn't get the right variety to resist anthracnose, which is a really devastating fungal disease. So I'm debating on taking out my 4-year-old vines and starting over, or what are my other options, you know. The grapevine posts have to all be redone, so it would obviously be easier to just start over, but then you're looking at least 3 years before you get grapes. I think this is going to fill up the top container perfectly. Okay, we're back. If this is the first time you've come to my channel, I hope you consider subscribing. What I do here is try to grow a lot of my own food and preserve it. I do a lot of easy recipes, one-pot meals, and medicinal plants. Those are my 3 big main focuses, and I have huge gardens, and it's way more than I can handle, but I'm doing the best that I can. And my goal is to be able to provide for my family and friends in need in case they need it. So I wanted to just pick up on the tomato juice from before. Now, if you like your juice not to be translucent or transparent, you might consider a food mill, and you may have one that's electric. This is a hand food mill, and so I used this last night, put all the material from the top. After I had already used the potato masher in here to get all the juices out, there's still juice in it and there's still pulp. And I put the finest, I guess you call this a sieve in the bottom, the one with the smallest holes. And then you just do this for about 2,000 times. If that sounds appealing. So it actually did bring up the consistency in the juice. So when you shake it up, it's nice. So that's something you can consider. I want to just go through it's not a juice steamer, it's a steam juicer. So this is a vineyard, and let me grab the box so you can see what it looks like. I was inspired to get one from my friend Teresa, who came to me January of 23, and she stayed here 2 weeks, and we worked with the pressure canner, and we did a series of videos. Very informative because she was the experienced person, I was asking questions. So if you're like me and you need to learn how to do pressure canning, check out those videos, and I'll put the link right up there. I'm not affiliated with this company, I just found this on Amazon. You can use my Amazon link if you care to support me using my affiliate link. It has 3 pots, and the top one and a glass lid. Some don't have the clear, and I like the clear so you can see what's going on. It's very hot. When the fruit starts getting hot, it's very hot. You want to keep back from that. You don't want to put your face in there when you take that lid off because you could get burned. This pot has holes on the side and bottom that holds the fruit in. This is the receptacle for the juice. So it has a opening in the middle where the steam comes up. I already have water boiling. Well, it's warm. You have water in the bottom, and the thing you have to remember with this is if you use this for hours, this water will boil out. And you know what a pan is like if it boils out. It gets all that scum on there that's very hard to get off. So you want to keep an eye on that. The challenge is once all this gets heavy and hot, you've got juice in, you've got water in here, you've got juice in here, you got fruit on top. You have to be very careful to try to look in here and find out how much water you have down there. And yesterday I was doing a live and I talked too long and all the water boiled out of this. A good thing to have is, because when you lift this out, this is your fruit, this will be your fruit in here, you'll need something even bigger, like just a big pan sitting here and I'll show you. I'll go ahead and put the fruit in. So this is that first batch. That didn't even fill it up. Oh wow, all those grapes, and it didn't even fill it up. So I will be working on preparing the rest of the grapes while this starts to steam. You can continuously add grapes or whatever you're juicing, but for example, you say, okay, I don't know how much water I have down here and I need to look. So take this off. This is glass and it's heavy. So take this off first. Don't try to lift all this. You could drop it and that would be a disaster. So this is heavy. So you set that in your pan because it's going to be dripping. And then this will have juice in it too, presumably. Some of your juice will be coming out, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you can tip this up and see how much water you have down there, and have some ready so that you can just pour it in. It has a little lip on the side there, and you can kind of hook that in and pour your water in. And it's a good idea if you pour in hot water from your tea kettle so that you're not waiting for that to heat back up. So we're going to put this in here, and we're going to turn up the heat. So this is a plastic tube that receives the juice, and it plugs into, this is hot now so you got to be careful. You just wiggle it on until it's all the way on. Okay, that's all the way on. And I'm going to rotate this back, because what you need to remember is this tube has to go down. I place a pot down here on a bar stool and let it drain into that. This is the key that you have to remember. It's this little clip. You don't want to lose this. This little clip, you squeeze it and you slide it onto your tube, and you hold all the juice inside until you are ready with your pot and you've got everything organized, because that juice coming out of that tube is very hot, and the last thing you want to do is need to run to the bathroom when that's coming out. It's fine if you've got the clip on, but if you don't, what will happen to you is what happened to me, and I lost a quart of juice over my kitchen floor. This is my setup. You may have something much better, but this works for me. And if that pot fills up, you need to transfer it into a larger pot. I first used glass jars. I had to wear glove mitts to handle that hot jar, so I don't recommend using glass. It's much better to use a stainless steel pot with handles, because I'm telling you, it gets hot. Okay, I just wanted to weigh these. 2.7 almost pounds per, and I'm using 7 bags, so that's actually 18.69 pounds. And if I used that last bag, it would be over 20. Okay, in the time that it took me to prepare the next batch of grapes, wash them, take them off the stems and everything, the whole filming so far has taken about an hour, just to give you an idea. Now this water is boiling at the bottom. I've got a little bit of juice in the middle part, but I've still got grapes that look like grapes. They're just faded. They're not as bright colored on the top. And that's what they look like before they get faded. So I'm going to add the other grapes to this. You notice this out tube is about 1.5 inches from the bottom of the pan. So the juice has to get up at least this far before it starts filling up the tube. So far we have nothing in the tube, and we're just waiting. I did look, there's about 1 inch of juice in there, and we just keep waiting. If you're enjoying this video, I hope you subscribe, click the bell for notifications, scroll down and click all so you won't miss an episode. Also, don't forget, I am an affiliate for 4 Jars canning lids, and they have a lot of other wonderful items as well. So I'll be using these on my jars today, which are already in the canner warming up. Okay, I just wanted to go over the safety precautions one more time. Don't lift the lid and put your face too close to the steam. It's really hot. You don't want to get scalded. Don't ever leave the room when the clip is not on the tube, because it could overflow and then you'll have a mess like I did. And really the most time-consuming thing is just getting the fruit prepared. And then it's just waiting until it steams. It does all the work. But just like canning, or of course pressure canning, you can't think, oh, I've got 20 minutes, I'll run down to the store and pick up a few items. No, you have to stay close by and be observant as to what's happening. I hope that's helpful.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. for
want to ruin
sleep.
it.
Hear the crickets, see the moon. Side by side and through. No limit to what we can do.
For grape juice, you fill to 1/4 of an inch from the top.
We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard time, you and I can weather any storm.
Well, I guess that's just what it does. But it can't release the air from those bubbles if it's got the lid on, right?
You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard time, you and I can weather any storm.
It's been about 3.5 hours since I started this video and this process. I filled 6 jars. I have a little bit left over for the refrigerator, plus a taste. We're going to taste it in a second. But I found out during the process that I became a grandmother today. My son and daughter-in-law had a baby, and I think it was early because it wasn't on my radar. I just wanted you to share the excitement with me. I've finally become a grandmother. I also wanted to point out, about the foam on the juice. My friend Teresa is not available because they're traveling today, so I didn't ask anyone, but it reminded me of a story. My mother got married about 3 months out of graduating from high school, and they grew up very poor, and my grandmother had her hands full and did not teach my mother how to cook. And suddenly she's got to cook 3 meals a day. And my father had a mother who was a great cook, so my mother was very intimidated. And she wanted to make him a pecan pie, which was his favorite dessert. And of course, my grandmother, his mother, made a fabulous pecan pie, and she saw the recipe. And if you make a pecan pie, you mix pecans in with the filling, you stir it in, and as it cooks, they all rise to the top, and they make that nice, wonderful crust on the top, but they float up, and then they settle there. Here I didn't know what to do about the foam. I didn't have anybody to call. I wasn't sure if, I'm not experienced enough with canning to know if the bubbles in there is a problem, because I know you're supposed to use this little thing to get bubbles out. So I skimmed it all off and put it in the sink. Stop that. What my mother did, she was watching this pie in the oven, and the pecans started floating to the top, and she kept pushing them down. She kept pushing them down, thinking they were supposed to be mixed in with it, and she's like, she didn't know they were supposed to float up, and she was pushing them down. And that's one of the stories that I'm the only person in my family that knows that story, and now my mother's memory is gone, and so when I'm gone, that story will be gone, but now you know. Thanks so much for watching. Let's have a taste test. That is so perfect. And I didn't add any sugar, obviously, and so it's just what it is. It's just grape juice. It's delicious. Wow, and that is probably 3/4, a little over 3/4 of just the red, the lighter rose-colored grapes, and then just a few of the darker grapes. So it has a little bit more color than just pink. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. God bless you.
You and I